Hi guys, welcome to my adventure. This week I'll be bikepacking in Central Texas, just traveling the trails, deciding what I want to do when I run into it. The purpose of this adventure is to, number one, have fun and relax, two, gain more experience in bikepacking, and doing this long term. If I wanted to bug out and use my bike, I might carry all the stuff that I have here. I have a lot of stuff. I have fresh water, but I also have filters because I don't know what water will be available. I have enough food this time to last me about 2 weeks, although I'm only going to be camping for 1 week. I hope to be able to make cake and pizza and all sorts of things on the trail with what I've got here. And so this is a test of bug out biking and a test to see exactly what do I need. We have a 50% chance of rain today. I'm prepared for rain. I'm prepared for sun. I'm prepared for heat. I'm prepared for bugs. I'm prepared for whatever happens. And primarily, I'm prepared to have fun. You never know exactly what's going to happen in an adventure like this. I have a trail map. I've talked to the rangers. I know which trails I generally want to follow, although there are a number of unmarked trails that I'm just going to explore. Now, I have looked at this on Google Maps, and so I know the whole area pretty well. My phone has a compass on it, as well as a map when I can get coverage, and then I have a compass too. Now, I may get lost, but not really lost, just misplaced a little bit. As long as I know where the river is, which is down there, and which way north and south is, and east and west, I'll be fine. Sure is good. You know, next time I won't put so much on my bike. Going up and down those hills was something else. Less water probably, because there's water here. I'd filter all of it rather than take about half of what I'll need for the week. And then I've got 2 alternative sleeping systems. I would just take one and definitely only take 1 week amount of food rather than 2 weeks. This is quite a bit to get up here, but once I have it set up and then squirreled away, I can travel all over and not have to carry all the stuff everywhere. I've got another 2 miles to go. Base camp is all set up. I'm about 100 yards from the main trail. The main trail's over there. You can see a slight little trail go down this way. And I'm again 100 feet or more than that from this little side chute. And my camp's right in there. Huh, I don't see it. Let's see if we see it when I walk closer. Okay, I'm looking right at my bike now. Do you see my bike? Now it's camouflage because of the vertical lines of these big tall bushes. And I can see it right now, but only if I'm specifically looking for round wheels and things like that. Now you can see it better off to the angle here. And so it's pretty well camouflaged. My trash bag is back there so you don't see it too much. And then down, hidden below, is my water supply and filter, because I'll be collecting water down in here. My hammock isn't visible from away from it because it's hanging low next to the edge of the cliff, of the bluff. And so it's easy to get into, and yet it's not visible until you get up really close to it. I have my cardboard oven back there. This camp is set up. I could live here semi-permanently. I've got enough food now for 2 weeks here, although I don't plan to stay 2 weeks. My traditional hammock. This one does not have a bug screen. And this is my day pack for day hiking, and I'm going to be going down to the river and see what I can find, interesting things. And there's my tripod and walking stick. I always have my walking stick with me, and always have a knife with me, always have lights with me, always have a compass with me, always have an extra jacket, have something for protection should I need to spend the night somewhere other than base camp. My food supply is right over here. It's sort of secure. We don't have bears here or any creatures that could get to this. We've got a few little squirrels, and this string should keep them off of my food supply. There's nothing nicer than rain on the tarp. I love it when it's gentle like this. So relaxing. And the view, I picked a good spot. This base camp view is just spectacular. I'm set up right next to the cliff, and you got stairs, those rock stairs all the way down, natural stairs, nothing man-made, only made by nature. Spectacular. It's so wonderful out here. It's easy to make yogurt on the trail. Start off with the commercial yogurt that you purchased, and after you've used a little over half of it, then you can take some milk, and this is ultra pasteurized milk, and I just opened it. It will last for months and months and months on the shelf without refrigeration, so you don't need to do any additional heating to make sure that it isn't contaminated. You just pour that into the yogurt and then shake it up, and the next morning you'll begin to have a culture, and after 2 days it becomes a complete culture, and just like what you started with. And so this is how I made yogurt as a kid. Our family did this all the time. And in the old days we would boil or heat the milk to make sure that it was clean. But with this ultra pasteurized milk that we have today, that step isn't necessary, and you can do this on the trail. Now I'll have yogurt that I can put on my cereal in the morning. It's beginning to get dark, and it's just so beautiful out here. Gentle rain on the tarp, the sounds of nature all around me. I'm quietly waiting to hear the sound of the frogs and the crickets and all the other little animals that will come out this evening. Good night, sweet dreams. See you in the morning. Good morning, guys. It's just getting light. And guess what? It's coffee time. And it'll be hot. Sure is beautiful. I slept well last night. Hope you did. Man, it's beautiful out here. It's so quiet. And there was this little frog that every so often would just chirp a little bit. It was going croak, croak. Man, that's beautiful. I can't wait to go explore here down the end of the river. But first things first, coffee. This coffee is so good. You gotta try it. You'll like it. Okay, camp is way up there. I need to be careful to make sure I don't lose this location. So somehow I'm going to have to mark this. Because if I were to try to climb up in the wrong spot, I'd really have a heck of a time to find my campsite. Let's see. I'm through the worst part, and I can see the tarp from down here. So focus that in your mind. I'm right in there. You can just barely see the tarp. What I've decided to do is to pile some rocks up, forming sort of an arrow to where I should be climbing the cliff. You can see there's one pile here, one here, and then a little one right there. And it leads right up there. Right up there is where my shelter is. Okay, and then I'm going to be walking down this way. Over there I see grass down there, and I suspect the river's right down there. I've come a long way, and for the first time I'm hearing water right there. So water's trickling down, and the river should be down there. So I'm going along on this side of the creek. This is it, the closest pool of clear water. It's not far from my campsite, but it's kind of hard to get there because it's way, way, way up there. That's where my site is. But anyway, that's a beautiful little pond. I'm going to follow the creek down to the river. It's very relaxing to sit with wide-angle vision. Just gaze out into the beauty, and you will see the clouds moving and smell things and hear things, leaves dropping. Frogs croaking. And as you hear this, as you see these things, as you smell these things, watch them, note them, and then let them pass. Nothing is disturbing. Everything changes. Everything will pass. The flow of the river is continuous. If you hear a plane fly overhead, recognize it, and it too shall pass. Don't dwell on anything, but rather watch, listen, and smell everything. It's amazing. It doesn't get any better than this. You've got to try it. Live in a place like this, out in the forest, with a beautiful river. It's really spectacular. Try it. You'll like it. I promise. This is unbelievable. Come on in. I promised it'd be pretty. Yeah. Yeah, it's so nice, isn't it? I knew you'd like it. Man. These cypress trees are something. Oh, they're so beautiful. All that swimming made me hungry. It's lunchtime. An apple, raisins, and yogurt. Now this is the yogurt that was the culture last night that I added milk to, and it's just about ready, and I'll have about half of this jar, and then later add more milk to it, and you keep doing that, and I'll have yogurt all week long. So enjoy. I'm going to start with the raisins. You want some? Don't they look good? Mmm. Okay, I'm going to collect some drinking water now. Now I have to climb the cliff. Let's see. Can you imagine what it must have been like when these boulders fell down? It must have been quite an avalanche. Be really careful. This is slippery around here. Okay, I see one of my markers right here. I'm going to knock the marker down so it doesn't confuse anybody in the future. I want to leave no trace, no evidence that I was here. And say, are you listening, little flower? Do you know that I'm here? I think you do. You're a pretty little flower. Okay. I'm leaning against this tree so I don't fall down. Let me get my balance here. Okay, I don't have too much farther to go, but it is steep to get up there. It's slippery with all the leaves and the rocks, and those trees are just holding everything in place. I think these are my footprints and the walking stick. I think I went along this way right along. Oh man, I slipped and I held onto a tree. That was scary. It is really interesting to do this. Man, I got to go up there. That's steep. I'm going to turn the camera off for that. I don't want to fall down those rocks. I think this is the way out, but it's not the same way I came in. Oh man. My backpack's caught on a vine. There. Okay. I'm going to hold on. Don't know if I have the strength with the pack on. Oh! I did it. I made it. I'll hold on and then I'll climb up the tree until I get to the other side. That's pretty steep down there and slippery. So what I'm going to do is throw my walking pole to the other side and hold the camera and use that. Okay, let's hope this works, man. Oh no, only went up part way. Well, maybe I can get it on my way. I'm going to hold myself with one hand and then try to get up here, but that's really slippery. Oh, okay, here goes. I'm doing it. Oh, man. It's working. I hope. This is hard. Not recommended. I made it, I think. I know exactly where I am. This is so much fun. So, I've been hanging out on these trails long enough to know which one leads where. Most of them are unmarked, but they're just fun. It's absolute fun to do something like this. Try it, you'll like it. I know, I say that all the time. because you will. The first step is to mix up the ingredients that include an egg, self-rising flour, vanilla, sugar, and olive oil. And I've listed the amount of each item. After this is thoroughly mixed up, then you put it on a cookie sheet with a paper, cooking paper, and then put it in the oven. And I'll show you how that works in just a minute. I've got to mix the dough a little bit more. That looks good. Sugar cookies. Okay, take a big spoonful and then put that. This plate should be able to hold about 4 cookies. That's one. And just a minute, we'll have all of them. Put the cookies in to bake. Yep. There they are. And we bake until they're golden brown. Oh, they're looking good. They're almost ready. Give them just a few more minutes. 4 sugar cookies are done, and 4 more are in the oven. I've got a little bit of powdered sugar on the top of each one. Here goes. That sure looks good. I love it. You can make sugar cookies and other things with your cardboard oven when you are bug out camping with your bike. It's just, this is so good. Home sweet home tonight is going to be on this cliff. This is where I'm sleeping. And my iPhone's going to be taking pictures there, and my GoPro here. And it's an awesome sky. This is the general direction of north. And it's so wonderful. And I love this cliff. You have to be careful though, the edge is slippery. So I'm just going to just look down there. You don't want to walk along that. I've done it and I've slipped. I have to be honest. So you need to be really careful. And that's why I'm sleeping away from the cliff. I'm not at the edge. I'm at a safe distance. It's a lot of fun to sleep on this rock and look up at the stars with nothing in between. I can feel the warmth of the rock. It's comforting in that it's flat with some gentle curves. I do have a pillow under my head though, and a very thin sleeping bag. But other than that, it's just me on the ground. And it is so neat just to look up and see the stars. And it's a wonderful night to do this. Good night, guys. You know, I just can't get over the beauty. I'm sure glad I slept out here like this. I would not have seen this sunrise. It's just beyond belief. Amazing. I'm going to try something special with my cardboard oven, and that is I'm going to make pineapple bundt cake. It works really well with an oven at home. Now we'll see how well it does with a cardboard oven. It's very simple. You just take 1 cup of self-rising flour, 1/2 cup of sugar, 1 egg, 1 teaspoon of vanilla extract, and then 1 can of crushed pineapples. And this is the small can. It's about 425 grams. And then with 1 egg, and you mix it all together in your plastic bag. And when it's thoroughly mixed, then I'm going to put it into a bundt cake pan. Now this is a very small pan, and I'm going to cover the bottom of it with a piece of aluminum so that it provides a little bit more insulation against the flame on the bottom of the oven. For convenience, I keep my flour in 1 cup sacks, and so this is just another cup of flour, and I'm going to add just a little bit of that to this other one. It's a little runnier than the one at home, and I want to really have this work right, so I'm going to put just a little bit of flour in here. Let's see how that does it. And if you can't find self-rising flour in the store, you can make it, and the recipe, the specific recipes, listed down below the video. Okay, this is about right. Oh yeah, that looks about right. And then you just pour it, or you can cut a hole in the bottom of the bag, but I'm just going to pour it out of the top. A little bit of olive oil. That's plenty. And then just wipe the bottom of the pan with it, and it'll be less likely to stick. Although this is a non-stick pan. The pan should be just a little over half full, and if it cooks like it did at home, it'll fill the pan just about all the way up. I'm using biofuel, and I'm using it at the low temperature setting. And if this isn't hot enough, then we'll turn the temperature up. It's supposed to cook about 365 is the temperature that it's supposed to be cooking at for about 40 minutes. Okay. I'll put it in the oven while the oven's cool, because it's a lot easier to do. It's kind of hard to put your hands in a hot cardboard oven. Okay, now we just let it cook. It's been about 20 minutes. Let's see how this cake is doing. I'm really curious. Drum roll. Da da da. Oh yeah, it's getting there. It's getting brown actually, isn't that neat? Oh, that looks good. Not yet done though. Pretty soon. Okay, let's see if the cake is done. Ooh, that's looking good. Well, let's just make sure. Comes out plain. So I'm going to take it off. And the oven will become the cooling rack. Look at this butt cake. Doesn't that look good? You know, it's not as perfect as the one I made at home, but for a cardboard oven, this is not bad. Look at that. Well, I'm going to cut it and see what it looks like. Man, I can't wait. Let's see. Oh, it cuts beautifully. It looks so tender. Look at it. Would you like some? Okay, you can have the other piece. Mm. Oh. The pineapple, the chunks of juiciness, it's actually better than the oven version. The oven version I used white sugar, and in this one I used brown sugar. And it's cooked just right. It's moist and fluffy and stays so good. You wouldn't believe this was made by that little oven back there. This is just amazing. I think I've outdone myself. This recipe is so simple, so easy to make on the trail. There must be an easier way to get water. You know, I'm going to find an easier way. This reminds me of Jack and Jill went down the hill to fetch a pail of water. Jack fell down, broke his crown. Jill came tumbling after. Check out the outtakes, or maybe they won't be in the outtakes. Anyway, good water. And you always need to be careful not to fall. That was a long bike ride. I'm exhausted. I'm gonna just take a siesta now. What a life. For dinner tonight, I'm making lasagna. This is a Mountain House meal, and I'm using about half of it since it's a 2.5 person package. And then I've added a few little bacon bits up on the top. I'm going to pour in a little less than a cup of water, and then I will add Parmesan cheese, which is so good. Yep, that water's boiling. Okay. This is so good. I'll just put it on here. Then I'll stir this up. Oh yeah, that'll be good. See what you're missing? Lasagna with all that cheese. Mm. Good morning, little beetle. Are you looking for breakfast? You are? Oh, well I'm making coffee right over there, so you don't want that. Ooh, that's hot. You don't want to get in there. Breakfast is served. Bun cake and coffee. Looks good, doesn't it? Mmm. So refreshing. Beautiful sunrise this morning. You want to have this piece? Okay. I'll eat 2 pieces and then you get the rest of the cake, okay? Mmm. This is even good a day later. It's awesome. Man. You know, my trash bag right over there is filling up. And so I'm going to ride down to the trash cans. You know, it's Wednesday, so it's trash pickup day. I got to ride to the trash cans, deposit the trash, and then go on to some other trails. Now guys, most of this trail is too rough for me to bike ride safely. So I'm going to hide my bike and then walk the rest of the way. It's only supposed to be about a mile. And I know some of it looks good, but other parts are just terribly rocky. I'm going to mark this spot so that I can find it on the way back. You never want to lose your bike, that's for sure. Let's see. Go over here. Here's the trail. You don't see it from the trail, do you? Not really. You'd have to look pretty hard to see it in there. And what I'm going to do is I'll mark something right here on the trail. I've never been to this duck pond before. It's pretty out here. Look at the little flowers. This would be a fantastic place for a night sky video because it's so open, and I bet the sunrise and sunsets are just spectacular here, reflecting off the water. I'll have to figure out how to do that sometime. Look over here. See those dead trees back there? I bet there are lots of vultures and interesting critters that use those. The perches are just spectacular. I'll be having 2 scoops of Purium gluten-free power shake, and this is an apple berry flavor. And it's healthy, and it provides everything you need, except it doesn't have protein in it. So I eat other sources of protein, but that's one. And the second one. And shake it thoroughly. Enjoy. We're going to have a special dinner this evening. It's going to be barley, lentils, and split peas. And this was a gift from Bob Knight, and so I appreciate it very much. It only takes 10 minutes to cook, so I'm going to cook that in boiling water. And I'm also going to add some black fungus to go with it because I love mushrooms. And because I don't have very many seasonings, I'm going to use this highly seasoned Indian Madras lentils, as I'm going to add that to it too. And if it needs any more flavor, I love Parmesan cheese. You know I do. I really, really love it. Also, let's start this. I need Matches, matches. There it is, a lighter. Okay, that's on. Oh, doesn't want to go. Okay, now it's going. I had it open too long, and when you leave it open, it dries out on the surface. Okay, and I'm going to add about a cup of water. Now, some of you wonder why I both filter my water and then here I'm boiling it. Why do I need to use filtered water? Well, filtering the water makes it taste better than just boiling it. And also, there's double security in terms of both killing things biologically and the physical aspects of going through a filter. Okay. That's about a cup and a half of water. Now I'm going to start with the mushrooms. I've used this black fungus before, and it's best to put just a pinch or two in here. It will expand, and it should take a little while before for it to cook. So I'm going to put that in, and then when the water starts boiling, I will add the lentils, and this will speed things up. This doesn't take very long to heat, particularly when you've got a windscreen and a lid. I love my little Stanley cooker. Oh yeah, it's simmering now. The mushrooms have swollen up, and I leave the flavor of the mushrooms because the water has turned brown from the mushrooms, and that adds an earthy fullness tone to the meal. Now let's just add. I'm not measuring it. Do it just by feel. I want it just enough so that when it swells up, it'll be a nice hearty meal. Oh yeah, it's gonna look good. I'm going to let this simmer for another 20 minutes. That way all the flavors absorb into each other. Dinner is served. Lentils and peas with mushrooms and special seasoning. Every bit of this is just unbelievable. It tastes like it has meat in it, yet it doesn't. I think that's the mushrooms. It is just unbelievable. So relaxing tonight. I'm just listening to the sounds. Ah, can't wait for the cup. Every good thing must come to an end. It's time to go home after 1 week of bug out camping. And I learned a lot using my bike as a bug out vehicle and staying in this area almost as if it's a semi-permanent camp. And so I took a lot of things that I wouldn't otherwise take just to see how it is to carry these things, how it is to use these things, and so forth. And I learned a lot, as well as having a lot of fun. You'll notice that I used two types of fuels on this trip, biofuel and sterno. Now, in this location, there is a burn ban, a permanent burn ban, and you can only use containerized fuel. And I chose these two types of fuel because they work in a cardboard oven. And they also are very easy to carry. The cardboard oven allowed me to, cook things I wouldn't otherwise cook. Sure, it's a little larger, but it makes it like home if you are in a semi-permanent camp. I learned something also with these two cooking fuels. The biofuel has been improved from the last 2 years. It now has a wick on it and it burns stronger and longer. It will burn 7 or 8 hours. This only burns half the time. Sterno burns half the time. The biofuel has the advantages that it has a lower setting and a higher setting. And so you can cook something at a low temperature if you want. Like that bun cake that I made, I used the lower temperature. It uses less fuel and it cooks just like a regular oven. The biofuel has also an advantage that it is refillable and the fuel doesn't take very much space. It's a liquid you just add to this. And so that's a possibility. If this were a survival situation, yes, I would use charcoal, then I would collect wood. But again, this is a high fire area, and so cooking with wood or ashes is not permitted. My cup just fell down the hill. My favorite cooking container is this small Stanley cup cooker, and I could cook almost anything in it. It really is great for a very quick meal. Not only dehydrated meals that are pre-prepared, as well as what I had the other night where I made this wonderful dish. And oh, that was so good. It had peas in it, and it had lentils and seasoning, and it was fabulous. You'll also notice that I brought two cooking containers. One is a bundt pan, and I decided to use a bundt pan because it has more area around the edges so that it cooks more evenly. You can cook cakes, breads, or even casseroles in this bundt pan. And then I had this little dish. I should have brought my small cooking pan. It's about the same size. I also brought more clothing than I would necessarily need. It's very hot here. It's 90 degrees during the day most of the time, and sometimes the high only got into the high 80s. And this is almost fall. And if this were a long-term camp and I was pretending this is a semi-permanent camp, I'd want to have clothing that I could use when it's hot as well as when it's cool. So you saw me wear most of the time this synthetic t-shirt and these trunks. And you can get them wet, you can wash in them when you go down to the river, you can use them continually because they quick dry. Also quick dry are long pants and a heavy shirt or shirt plus hoodie, jacket plus hoodie. This is also waterproof. It works well during heavy rainstorms. You've seen me use this during heavy rainstorms. I haven't used the jacket much yet because it just gets too hot. Now, if the temperatures were to drop, I could be very comfortable on any camping trip, easily down to 40 and maybe lower than that if I had just this jacket and these long pants. I also brought two sleeping systems. The first sleeping system was the hammock that works exceedingly well in warm weather with a tarp. That works well, but in some places you don't want to use that, or you may want to sleep on the ground. And one night I slept on a rock, and rock's a little bit hard, but not all that hard. I used this inflatable pad, self-inflating pad, and that made it softer. I also brought a very small, thin sleeping bag, and this is a rectangular sleeping bag. It's good to be comfortable in down to the temperature of 40, and if you add other things, it can be down into freezing. So this is small. I can easily carry it on my bike, as well as in a backpack, an ultralight pack even. And I used it when I was sleeping on the rock. In colder weather, I can put it on the outside of my hammock, and because of the way this is designed, it easily can be used to make a cocoon around the hammock and therefore keep you perfectly warm in cold weather. And finally, I have gloves. I didn't use them on this trip, and so anyway, that's what I used. I learned a lot what I should use and what I shouldn't use, the types of meals I would prepare. Well, I had a blast, and I'm going to clean things up just like I should. And so I'm going to try this trick, snap my fingers, and everything will be cleaned up. Okay, here goes. Oops, that didn't work. That didn't work. Let me try the other hand. It worked. Thank you. I know what to do. Hear that sound? Yep, raindrops. Always leave your campsite better than when you found it. It's raining. Love it. Until next time, peace. It ain't gonna rain no more, no more. It ain't gonna rain no more. How in the heck can I wash my neck when it ain't gonna rain no more, no more? Bee Creek.